The story begins with a bunch of people enraging against a witch while carrying torches in their hands, cursing her name, blaming them, saying that because of them all the food warehouses were burnt down, as they now have nothing to eat and survive on anymore. At that moment, a red-headed woman is seen tied up forcefully to burn at the stake, and while the people are carrying the witch, a little girl is demanding the people to let the woman go, while crying her eyes out. She constantly keeps on saying that the red-headed woman named Cersinia has done nothing wrong. But the man carrying her only continues to laugh at her remarks. It seems that the tale of the woman is rather strange, as Cinderella is a story of a heroine of humble origins who became the crown prince's wife after catching his eye. But the story turned stale after she ended up waking as Cersinia, who is none other than the villainess of the story, since she was the sole sorceress of the Belfar Empire. It seems that Cersinia was able to call upon the power of fire as she pleased. With her ability to emit and absorb heat at will, she could easily summon fire as she pleased. It is remarkable how not a soul in the whole empire was able to defeat her, and to add to her infamy, she disfigured the heroine's mother while setting aflame half of the empire while trying to kidnap and murder the crown prince. But somehow, the crown prince had ended up managing to foil her nefarious scheme and escaped, which sounded the death knell for Cersinia. To make Cersinia die the worst death possible, she was punished by using 15 fireproof arrows hurled at her, which once pierced her body with steel, and it then ended with finishing her off by beheading her in front of the crowd. The moment the protagonist learned that she was reborn as Cersinia, he knew that her brutal death would be hers soon enough, but for better or worse, she came into the possession of her body 3 years prior to the start of the story, meaning that there is still time to change her fate for once and for all. The protagonist believes that if she manages to live a quiet life, refraining from evil doings and foregoing the magic, she will be able to live a peaceful life by keeping her head as a result. That is what she believed originally, but she knows that fire cannot be finishing her off, which she could use easily by escaping without too much hassle. People are hurrying up to finish her off by using the fire, but the moment the man is about to set her on fire, someone calls out for the others to seize the man who is about to set her on fire while calling out the name of Cersinia. She doesn't know who the man is, and he seems to be dressed as some kind of royal person, a knight claiming that he will be removing her restraints in an instant. The moment she is about to speak with the man ends up taking her hand on his hand, and even Cersinia knows that she needs to free her hand, but for some reason, the man seems so familiar that she isn't able to free her hand, as he is kissing her hand so calmly while looking at her with his purple eyes. She feels like the man she is smelling right now is quite familiar to her, and after a while, she realizes that the person in front of her is Ben. But Ben looks quite different than what he used to look like. When Cersinia is astonished out of her mind, Ben claims that he had been missing her so dearly all this time. In the next scene can be seen Cersinia playing inside a casino while a man starts to ask her if she wants to end it like that while uttering the word 16 as she continues to bet all of her tokens on the number, while a woman starts to whisper claiming that it must be a great match. The man beside her starts to state that they need to know how Cersinia has won 2 games in a row, implying that if she sees herself rich with a huge number of tokens in front of her, Cersinia thinks that everything is hers, which feels like a crazy habit to her, and she now understands why people are severely addicted to gambling while winning 2 games in a row. The moment she lands number 16, Cersinia, including all of the people in the background, is shocked to see that she has won, and as the winner, Cersinia starts to blush at her win, realizing that she has finally won once again. The whole thing feels like a reflection of her life, and she starts to wonder how much the tokens in front of her are worth. She is happy that she has gotten over the life of the evil witch, as she raised the name of Cersinia as soon as she lifted her desires from her life. The moment she was reborn, she finds herself in the body of Cersinia when she was 10, as she read a book and fell asleep, and she started existing as a character in a novel. She had never thought that some nonsensical thing would happen to her life, as the evil Cersinia has flame red hair, while being described as a beautiful woman, yet even with her beauty, she has the evil power of fire in her. But nobody seems to have seen the other side of her, as she was always alone as a villain who everyone wanted dead. And the moment she read it, she couldn't accept it all, hoping that her miserable life would come to an end. Even though she started to feel miserable in the beginning, as 4 years have passed since the original story, she now knows that the magic discovered will be explaining herself as a witch. But after winning such a large amount of money, she started to think that she might be able to change her life By using it as if she was rich, she could be able to avoid the original story for sure, which will be able to make her live a good life full of expensive items. Everything changes when Cersinia reaches the office of the casino, as the man claims that there is not enough money that she won. And he suggests that since the Viscount will be visiting soon, she can be asking him about it. But persistent Cersinia demands the man to exchange the tokens for money immediately, while raging like a person engulfed by fire since this casino is the place where she spent all of her money. Then the man starts asking for a few days of time. But when Cersinia starts to react badly to the situation, the man starts to freak out and claims that the whole process will be taking a week to calm her down. But instead of listening to the man, Cersinia unleashes her power against the table. She warns him, saying that if he doesn't want to get crushed like the table, he can start bringing the money as soon as possible, as the man continues to beg to her to make her understand the situation properly. But Cersinia is in trouble as well, since she cannot have any of the gambling money. There is no way she will be able to return the money that she has already spent. She couldn't fear to explain the whole thing in front of him, as their reaction will be unexpected of the situation, and she starts to make him fear her even more, which makes him cry out, saying that he will be guaranteeing something for him. Interested in listening to the man, she starts to follow the man, who takes her into a room where a man is sitting chained on both of his feet, and the man states that the chained person is the slave who was bought by Viscount recently. When Cersinia notices the person, she starts to wonder if the child in front of her is a slave, and she doesn't seem to be interested in taking a child as collateral, which makes the man fear her, saying that the child surely deserves to be a collateral, as the Viscount have bought him with a huge price tag. Then Cersinia rages at the man even more after hearing that, as he has already claimed that the Viscount has no money, but somehow he owns a biased slave child, which makes it sound even more insane, as nobody would insist her to believe that. The man starts to apologize to Cersinia, and she wonders why her body is boiling while her head feeling so hotter than before, while she knows that she shouldn't be turning the whole place into a sea of fire. Knowing that she has to calm down, she believes that the Viscount will be paying her back soon enough, so she can keep the child as a collateral. And the moment she glances at the child with blue hairs, he starts to beg her to help him, which makes her to begin thinking rationally. She realizes that if she gets angry, they will not be giving her any money, and people wouldn't be able to get out of the place. She notices that the child is full of scars while his body is quite lean, and he is in a terrible condition, as she doesn't know how many ways he didn't get so skinny. She decides that she cannot be leaving the child alone in the dark, so she ends up getting close to the child, trying to take a look at him, and after a while, she ends up making him lose all the chains on his body. She leans close to him, asking him to take her hand, while looking at him with her fiery red eyes, which the body decides to take to get on his feet. She agrees that she will be taking the child as collateral, so the man should be letting the Viscount know that if she doesn't get paid in a week, she is about to burn down the casino for sure, while leaving the place. The scene then shifts into a run-down house, where Cersinia lives, and it seems that she wanted to change her house into something nice, as her house is broken as hell. That was what she wanted when she thought of the casino money, but unfortunately, the plan somehow failed halfway, and now she is only having the weak child as collateral. As she expected, the child's wounds are quite bad, and she promised to the child that she will be healing his wounds for sure by curing him properly, and the child keeps on saying that he is fine after all. Then Cersinia claims that she will only be counting to 3, and before she finishes to count, the boy reaches to her to get himself bandaged. Cersinia knows that the bandages will be healing him quickly, and the boy ends up asking her for her name, which then makes Cersinia introduce herself to the boy. Then when she asks the boy for his name, the boy starts to clam down while staying silent, to claim that he doesn't really have a name. Knowing that she has made a mistake by asking his name, Cersinia asks him how old he would be, and it seems that the boy is 19 years old. Cersinia is now shocked that the boy, who she thought would be a lot younger than her, it seems that he is only a year younger than her, which may have been caused by his thinness. Then when Cersinia asks if he is hungry, the boy states that he is fine, but then ends up revealing that he is a bit hungry, which gets her to start cooking for him, commanding him to finish the soup whole, since it will get spoiled if he doesn't end up eating it whole. The boy agrees to her statement, and Cersinia starts to use her magic in front of the boy, which is her first time to do so, and she thinks that it will act as a guarantee for him not to talk about it in front of the others. As she starts to use her magic in front of the boy, he starts to jump ecstatically, wondering if she is a witch, and Cersinia states that she is the one who uses magic here, so he shouldn't be telling that to anyone. The boy promises that he wouldn't be doing that, but ends up being silent, only to ask her if she really feels lonely. Clam Cersinia states that she really isn't that lonely since she is used to it already, as it had been 10 days since she came. And the boy thinks that Cersinia must be an orphan like him. Then the boy states that Lady Cersinia must be quite powerful, and Cersinia insists that he should be calling her by her name. Then Cersinia thinks that she shouldn't be getting attached to the boy, since he will be long gone after a week. But she thinks that giving him a name will be wise until then. Soon Cersinia reveals that she was thinking of a name for him, and she ends up asking what he would be thinking of the name Ben. When the boy starts to stutter in surprise, she thinks that he doesn't seem to like it much. Surprisingly, the boy claims that he likes the name Ben, and Cersinia decides that from now on his name will be Ben, which feels okay to him as he thanks her wholeheartedly. Then it is revealed that building a house of gambling is allowed in the empire, and that made the Viscount take the house of gambling money, which grew after a long investment of time and money. It seems that until he received the emperor's approval, he had to give most of his money to the nobles to support him, which made him fall into a great debt. When the Viscount ended up gaining the certification, he was able to buy a house from gambling, which now allows the Viscount intending to pay off his debts with the money that the casino produces as the customers in the casino continue to make the jackpot their goal. Then when it comes to the possibility of winning the jackpot, it seems that the whole thing is a trap made by the Viscount to make all of his profits, and when Cersinia tried to enjoy the rich life, even after winning the jackpot 3 times in a row, the whole dream of Viscount shattered because of her. The Viscount knows that if he ends up giving her the money, the whole casino will be suffering a complete bankruptcy, as the time she wanted to claim the money, the Viscount ended up using his man Louis as a shield to protect himself from her. The scene shifts into a moment where the Viscount is calling for unconscious Louis, who wakes up after hearing a lot of chaos made by his master. Then Louis explained that Cersinia made all of the chaos, and the Viscount is shocked in anger realizing that his assistant couldn't even handle a single woman. Louis tries his best to explain that the woman wasn't someone normal, as she was a crazy one, as she ended up breaking the desk in half with one hand, while using strange abilities. Louis starts to explain that the woman started blowing wind around her, while the whole aura of the wind started to scorch on its own for some reason, which almost got him burned to the ground. The Viscount starts to think about it deeply, since Louis must be an idiot, but he wouldn't make up something out of the blue for no reason, and he then started asking him about the slave that he bought, which makes Louis get into a face-palming situation. Then frustrated Louis claims that he handled the matter well by using the slave as a guarantee that he will be providing her with money, and the Viscount starts to enrage by claiming that he cannot even wonder who the person might be. Then the Viscount starts to elaborate that he is short in funds compared to Count Antiu, who is the richest man in the empire, so he tried to make up for his loss by borrowing money from him. Fortunately, the Count seems to love handsome men for his pleasure, and which made him buy the slave for the Count, so he could be enjoying his money without worrying about the Count paying it back. Then the Viscount starts beating Louis, claiming that he must find her and bring the slave at once, before he gets into a tough situation since he is about to meet the Count in a week, so there is no way he would be missing the schedule. Then he also remarks that he cannot pay her any money, so he shall have to bring the slave without any kind of condition, which might be the only way for him to save himself. On the other hand, Ben, the slave who was brought by Cersinia, is eating the food she made for him, and it seems that Cersinia wanted to know about Ben, and she soon realized that Ben isn't that honest to her to begin with. She insists him to eat more food since he surely looks hungry, and she soon realized that he doesn't like to eat food that much, which made her claim that she will be throwing away the food anyways if they get spoiled. It seems that Ben got kind of used to slavery, where he cannot even ask what he needs even badly, and Ben apologized to Cersinia, saying that he ends up eating a lot. And to calm him down, Cersinia claims that if he didn't eat, she would have to throw it away anyways, so he should be eating more. Then as days continue to pass, Ben ends up breaking a lot of plates on the 3rd day as well as 3 pots at the same time. Cersinia doesn't seem to be mad that he ended up breaking a lot of things, and she soon realized that Ben seems to be bored without a job, as he is persistent when it comes to doing something. Ben elaborated that he used to live in a place where he didn't have a name, and said that if they didn't work, they would have to skip eating for days, which illustrates the fact that Ben is used to starving for days. Ben ends up cutting his finger while working, and even after losing something of his, he continues to apologize as if he has done something wrong. Cersinia took the broom away from him, noticing that he is injured, and told him to sit somewhere so she could take a look at his wound, while he continues to apologize to her. Then in his own mind, Ben thinks that Cersinia is a beautiful woman to all who see her, and that might be his reason to get nervous and make mistakes since he just wants to look good for her. Soon Cersinia is done with the medications, and Ben realizes that he feels warm with her, imagining if she is his light and his salvation, so he thanks Cersinia for helping him, while she suggests that he should be careful next time. Suddenly, Cersinia notices a change in him, asking if he is looking taller than before. Then as Ben concluded that he used to have pain every night in his ankles and knees, which feels totally impossible to Cersinia, as it was never possible for someone to grow this fast in 3 days. Cersinia is happy to see him grow this fast, which starts to get her more happy, believing that he must be eating more in the future, and excited Ben claims that they will be making bread soon enough. But persistent Cersinia states that he will only be allowed to take a look, instead of doing anything by himself to help her. At night, when Cersinia goes on to sleep on the bed, she hears Ben murmuring something in his sleep, asking for someone to help him and forgive him at the same time, which ends up waking Cersinia. Cersinia realizes that Ben continues to have nightmares every night, and the nightmare continues to make his body tremble in fear, while making his body cold as ice. Cersinia claims that he is safe with her in this place, and it seems that Cersinia used to try waking him up at first, but for some reason, he was never able to open his eyes, as if he was constantly falling into a terrible abyss. So, she soon realized that the moment he continued to sob and shake, all she could do was warm him up by trying to stabilize his breathing with her power, hoping that he could get a good sleep to recover. She mutters on her own, wondering what must be hurting him so much, as if there might be something in his past which makes him fight this way every night. She realizes that it is probably the kind of pain the normal people would never know, which makes her wonder how she can be parting him away, just in this state, which would continue to hold him down. She knows that if he goes back, all the terrible things in his life will continue to repeat on their own, while she also knows that to avoid her own death, she will be money soon enough, which will require her to part ways with him. She promises to herself that she will be taking good care of him while they are together, and she notices that Ben is having a nightmare once again, making a terrible look reflecting on his face. She thinks that it might be caused by the sweat on his forehead, so she thinks of cutting his bangs the next day. Then while she is touching her hair, Ben ends up waking and uttering her name, which makes her say that he can sleep more if he wants to, as she was just trying to fix his hair. He elaborates that Cercinia's hands are always warm, so it gives him a good feeling, while he thanks her for caressing him every night, which gets him some kind of relief, as he isn't afraid to fall asleep these days. Then Ben claims that he always pretended to be asleep so she wouldn't be drifting away from him, while thanking her so much for taking care of him. Cersinia caresses his head, telling him that he shouldn't be worrying about it, so he should be trying to fall asleep right now. As Cersinia leaves his side for the night, Ben keeps on holding his forehead, the place where Cersinia have touched him that night, while blushing hard on his own. Then the next morning, Cersinia claims that she will be trimming his bangs a little bit, so he shouldn't be afraid of it, but even so, Ben seems really afraid of it, as he couldn't keep his legs still while she grabs the scissors in her hand. She suggests to him that he should be keeping his legs still while she treats his hair, while imagining that he must have skipped sleeping, which must have been done by her in some way. When she struggles to hold on to him, Ben claims that he will be fine, and Cersinia begins to cut his hair by holding them at once. Soon, when the cutting finishes, Cersinia realizes that he has a bad fever and suggests to her that he should be taking a rest the whole day for getting himself better. But instead of listening to her, Ben starts to run away, which makes Cersinia hold on to him to ask if he is really okay. Then when Cersinia starts to haggle on to him, he ends up claiming that he is acting insane because his heart is beating too fast this time, and Cersinia asks if he is having a heart attack as Ben falls down on the ground. Then after a while, when Ben calms down, he states that he now feels better about Cersinia, but Cersinia doesn't seem to believe him. While she continues to look at him, he starts running away to sit on the chair once again to get ready to cut his hair once again, while Cersinia claims that he really has to keep on sitting this time around. When the bangs are all cut up, Cersinia realizes that Ben is looking quite handsome than he used to, and she suggests Ben look at the mirror, suggesting that he has to be honest this time. Then when Cersinia asks if she should be cutting away more of the bangs, Ben states that she doesn't have to do that, as he wants to feel the warmth of Cersinia remaining on his head, which makes her realize that her heart is beating quite hard, as if she is about to go crazy. But instead of facing Ben even more, she runs away, asking him if he is ready to eat once again, while Ben insists that he wants to help her with the cooking right now. Then while Cersinia is spending time with Ben, an agent of some kind is seen reporting to some higher-up, claiming that he failed to find the one they are looking for, even after trying their best to do so. The man remarks that the whole thing is urgent, and the agent claims that they will be meeting the person soon enough. The man then remarks on him, calling him a useless thing as the damned will last 1 to 2 years at most, so they must bring the man back before then. The higher-up calls the agent Archen, ordering that it doesn't matter if the person is in one piece or not, which Archen decides to listen to, judging the urgency of the matter. Then in the morning, the worst gets into the head of Cersinia as she notices that they have run out of flour, and realizes that in the end, it all fell down for her, as even if she gets the money she wouldn't be able to recover it whole. Then she starts to think that the whole thing must be the other way around. And at that moment Ben comes in front of her, asking what the matter to her is. When Ben asks her about the situation, she knows that she cannot be brining Ben with her, and she knows that if he figures it out, he will be blaming himself for it. She states that she wants to eat meat, and she will be needing to go outside to the market for it. After hearing that, Ben suggests that he will be going outside with her for that reason excitedly. Then Cersinia immediately rejects him, saying that he should be staying at home, and Ben begs her, saying that he wants to carry things for her. But she continues to state that he cannot be doing that, which makes him act like a puppy with his gorgeous eyes to Cersinia. But Cersinia knows that she cannot do that at any cost, since she has no money, and she doesn't want him to see her, as she is disposing of her jewelry for money, which just feels quite pathetic to her. Cersinia knows that the character she is in right now is someone who really likes to dress, no matter what the situation she is in, as she spared no money on clothes, cosmetics, and jewelry, as she wasted the fortune her parents left for her, which must have been done for a reason. Then after looking for a while, Cersinia ends up finding a ring, which makes her realize that she must have starved without it. While she is preparing to leave, Ben comes to ask her if it would be dangerous to go alone, and Cersinia claims that she is more worried about him being alone, so he must be a good guy, not breaking any more of the plates, since she will come back very soon. Ben claims that he will be listening to her instructions, and before she is about to leave, Ben calls out to her, saying that she must be coming back soon enough, while a happy smile on his face. Cersinia thinks that it must be something nice to hear that he will be waiting for her, and she thinks that beef is better than stewed chicken for the day. After that, Cersinia soon goes to meet the pawn shop owner to sell her ring, and when the jeweler continues to look at her ring, she starts to wonder if she is about to get at least 200,000 shillings for it, as Cersinia had been interested in jewelry since she was very young, so she must have a good taste, since she tended to pamper her belongings so much, so the jewelry she possessed must have been of high value. Then when Cersinia goes on to ask the man for the worth of the ring, the man ends up claiming that there is a scratch on the ring, so he cannot be bidding a high price for it, which makes her remember that there was nothing on it when she checked back at home. Then the man shows her the ring, stating that she can also see the scratch on the ring, and she notices that the ring now has a deliberate scratch like a cut, which could never be caused by daily activities. The man then insists that he can only be paying 100,000 shillings for the ring, and Cersinia suddenly grabs the hand of the man, while using her power on his hand, which starts him to feel that his hand is almost about to burn for some reason. Then while she was holding the man's hand to make him feel the pain, she gets out something that the man insists that the item is only used to cut off the wrapper, claiming that it is worth so much. Then Cersinia calls the man out on his lies, claiming that the item looks more like the scratch on her ring, which makes the man call her crazy, and she realizes that the man has been earning money this way by fooling his customers. But the man still insists that he cannot be paying her more than 103,000 for her ring, which makes her slam on the table, stating that it must be 500,000 shillings now, which starts to falter the man in agony as he begins to stutter. The man states that she must be crazy, and Cersinia starts to insist that she will now be showing her power against the man, despite her looks, which gets the man to beg for her mercy as he begs to pay 200,000 for her ring. But Cersinia keeps saying that she will be taking 500,000 for the ring, and even when the man offers her 400,000 and 405,000 shillings, she insists the ring's price at 500,000 shillings for obvious reasons, which makes the man flop down on the ground. As Cersinia begins to leave with the money, Cersinia suggests the man run his business with a conscience, insisting in her mind, saying that she must have given her the money sooner. Then she starts to buy all the items from the market to cook, and it seems that she had bought more than she had thought, and she thinks that if she knew about it before, she must have brought Ben with her. She thinks that she will be going with him the next time for sure, wondering if there will even be a next time for it, as Ben will be leaving her in a few days, so she can at least be with him for a couple of days. Cersinia realizes that even though she thought it was obvious that they were together, she thinks of not getting sentimental anymore, as all she needs is money. Right at that moment, someone is asking about her around the market, mentioning her hair color, as she is about to be with a boy, and the woman that they are asking to doesn't have any idea of her. Cersinia starts riding in the buildings the moment she notices them, and while they are away, Cersinia starts to wonder why the money changer named Louis would be looking for her all of a sudden. She realizes that the man isn't looking for her, and even if he is, it must not be done for some good reason, as he can be wanting to kill her, which feels quite annoying to her as he would have never wanted to repay the favor this way. She knows that she must be getting rid of the man soon enough, and at that moment, she realizes that Ben is home alone. And if he ends up finding Ben, the whole thing will get dangerous for him for sure, so she leaves an apple on the ground while trying to run away. On the other hand, Ben is having a tough time digesting the fact that his heart is feeling strange since the last night is whenever Cersinia ends up touching him. His heart starts to beat so hard unconditionally, as he thinks that he shouldn't be getting used to it. He knows that if he continues to desire more, he will turn into a burden for Cersinia as he had a warm and happy time regardless of his identity, which will be enough for him. He knows that even though Cersinia looks old, she is an affectionate person as it was the first time someone had called him by his name since he was alone. He feels that he feels better when she gave him the name Ben, and the only one who called his name first is Cersinia, as he continues to think about Cercinia's sexy lips talking to him affectionately. He knows that he cannot be thinking about it wondering if he has gone mad as he shouldn't be having such impure thoughts about someone who has granted her many favors as they must be embarrassing for him. Then concerned Ben thinks that walking out will be helping him, so he goes on to do the laundry and clean up well. He thinks that it would be a great thing if he could cook as he would have been able to serve Cersinia warm food, and at that moment, Cersinia calls out to Ben worried asking if he is okay. Ben states that he is fine, and asks her what wrong. Worried Cersinia is must start asking him if someone has come for him or not. Then when Ben makes it clear that no one has come for him, Cersinia states that it is nothing, and while she states that he will be eating the plate once again, he starts to blush hard while looking away from her in embarrassment. When Cersinia asks Ben what he was doing, Ben states that he had been waiting for her and doing laundry. At the same time, while he feels like the sound of his heart is beating so hard that he might get discovered by her anyways soon enough. Cersinia then pats her, claiming that he must be a good boy, which makes Ben promise that he will be arranging what she brought inside. While Ben continues to walk away, he continues to wonder if he could embrace the little heart a little more, as when the time comes, the futile desire will disappear for sure. Meanwhile, Louis meets his master, the Viscount, saying that he failed to manage the slave, and the Viscount claims that they will have to prepare 30 million shillings, since Cersinia will be bringing the slave in 3 days anyways. He claims that he will have to prepare the money, and Louis wonders if he will be giving away the money to the woman. The Viscount states that they cannot just turn around like that, since she has to give the money first before she gives him the stuff back. He states that the rule will be get a mortgage first, and then track down to find her place, and then when Louis asks the Viscount what he is about to do, he claims that they have to finish her off and get the money back. After that, the Viscount continues to sip on his tea while Louis starts to prepare as his master has commanded him to do so. Back in Cercinia's house, Ben is requesting Cersinia to eat the food while Cersinia herself persists that he must be the one eating more, while Ben claims that he is just satisfied after seeing her eating delicious food. Weirded out, Cersinia doesn't understand what is happening to Ben, as he is like a teenage boy falling in love with her, and at the same time Ben is wondering what is happening to him as well. As Cercinia's fork falls down on the ground, Ben assumes that something wrong might have happened and runs off to get another fork for her, which makes her wonder what must be wrong with her, as if she is going crazy as well. She doesn't seem to believe the whole thing, as she likes guys with big muscles, and no matter how handsome Ben is, he is thin while looking sicker at the same time, and he is so cute that she fantasizes to make him cry. Then while she is deep inside her thoughts, Ben calls out to her, handing her the fork, but instead of thinking like a crazy person, she decides to leave her seat while Ben claims that he accidentally ended up hitting her. The whole chaos makes Cersinia claim that he can be eating the meat on his own, as she wonders if Ben is about to go away anyways. At night, she is having a hard time sleeping, as she is totally paying attention to the matter, and she realized Ben has surely felt embarrassed a while ago. She knows that it is just because of the long-term commitment, which leads to love, and that made her pay so much attention. She realizes that Ben is like a little brother at home, which makes her feel pity, and she now knows that she must have to stop the pity. As the novel begins, she might be dragged into the story against her, which will definitely be hurting Ben for sure. She thinks that it will be better for her to exchange him for money 3 days later, as she has got to get out of the villain. As Cersinia starts to realize that their time to part ways is about to come soon enough, her heart starts to get stronger, as no matter how Ben or how she feels, they have to accept it no matter what. It seems that Cersinia even started to keep her distance from him. For that reason alone, and while keeping her distance from him, she starts to wonder if Ben goes back to the casino, would he be enslaved once again, hoping that there might be some way of helping him. Then Cersinia starts questioning Ben about his family, and according to Ben, his mother passed away when he was 13, so from then on, he started to get enslaved and even have been sold many times from then on. Ben claims that he doesn't even remember what his mother used to sound like, as it has been a long time, and he cannot even think about it now. He then adds that he is so alone that nobody even calls his name anymore, and since that time, Cersinia is the one who has been calling him by his name. But after hearing all of the words said by Ben, Cersinia knows that she didn't mean that to happen, as she cannot be living with Ben. And if the novel ends up going against her for unfortunate reasons, Ben will be killed as well for doing nothing wrong at all. And from the moment possessed from her rebirth, she knows that the whole thing is something that she needs to do alone, without engaging someone else entangled in her story. Then when Ben starts to communicate familiarly, like every day else, Cersinia reminds herself that she needs to draw the line for sure, as she has to do her own things alone, which gets Ben some kind of bitter feeling. As time continued to pass, Ben's farewell day has finally come, and Ben gets ready knowing that he cannot be living with her anymore, as she wouldn't be letting him die with her for sure. It seems that Ben is trying quite hard to smile on his own, but it makes Cercinia's heart so hurt that she is forced to do this even when she doesn't want to let him go. As the sun sets, Ben claims that he has to go, and Cersinia starts to prepare to leave Ben in the casino where the Viscount is waiting for him. Then while they are walking down the road of the casino, the Viscount is shaking, thinking what if Cersinia has changed her mind, as the Count has already mailed him saying that he is waiting for his present, as the day of meeting has already come. The Viscount wonders what he is looking forward to, as if it is a slave or something more than that, as he just wants to please the Count to bring his great wealth. As the sun sets, the Viscount is raging, wondering, and asking Louis about the woman's whereabouts, and at that moment, Cersinia calls for the Viscount while bringing Ben behind her. When Cersinia comes in front of the Viscount makes sure to let her know that she is already late, while insisting she should take off her coat since he needs to make sure of her face, which makes the Viscount have dirty thoughts in his mind, as he wasn't expecting her to look so beautiful. Then the Viscount requests her to hand over the collateral that she took, and the Viscount notices that the boy has gained weight while having his hair cut and exercised, as if he is quite satisfied to begin with. But while the Viscount is ecstatic, Cersinia wonders if it will be okay to have Ben as human collateral when it is better for Ben to stay with her. Then when Ben calls out her name, Cersinia shrieks in her mind, and the evil Viscount gives her some hope, saying that Ben will be going to a better place while mentioning that a Count has promised to take care of him. Then Cersinia starts to think that there will be nothing to be afraid of then, and asks when he will be going away. As she mentions the name, the Viscount realizes that she had even named him, and Cersinia realizes that if it is the Count's family compared to the casino, it will be a lot better for him to be there. Then when it is concluded that Ben will be going away, Louis brings the money for her in a suitcase while Ben is being taken down to the basement. Cersinia and the Viscount continue to look at him while he moves away, and the Viscount insists that she will be getting her receipt as soon as possible, and she suddenly starts asking the man if he had been following her. The Viscount starts to stutter before answering, and she makes it clear that she knows that he had been following her, while he insists that he was just trying to get her the money to end it all quickly. Then Cersinia angrily lightens up and insists that she will only be forgiving him for once, but if it happens to her one more time, she wouldn't be leaving him alone, as the Viscount states that he gets it as he calls Louis to bring the note for her to sign. Then when Cersinia finishes signing the note, she feels that the hand Ben used to hold is getting a lot colder, as if no one has held it, and she starts to leave away from the casino to accept the fate which was decided long ago. Then in the next scene, Ben can be haggled by the Viscount's men, as the Viscount is excited to know about Cercinia's abilities, and the moment Ben ends up hearing Cercinia's name out of his mouth, he starts to glare at the Viscount, as if he is about to impale the man. Then the Viscount angers even further and keeps on beating Ben, hoping that he will be able to get out all of the information about Cersinia sooner or later, as he is about to confirm it really soon. Then when Ben speaks nothing about Cersinia even after getting beaten for a while, he realizes that the whole operation was a failure, as he could get nothing out of him till the end while he lies down bloodied on the ground. As he gets ready to get out of the dark room, the Viscount commands his men to never touch his face, since that is his only value in his whole body. While leaving, the Viscount continues to shame Cersinia, saying that she ended up selling him for money, and Ben only yells at them, saying not to touch Cersinia at any cost. Then the Viscount remarks that he wouldn't be able to stop them if they wanted to, since he is just tied up on the ground, and as the Viscount was about to badmouth Cersinia, He remarks that the woman surely had a rare charm around her for sure. He claims that he will be confirming her abilities on his own, which gets Ben angered at the man as one of his men claims that he has found the location of Cersinia. Then when they are about to leave, Ben starts haggling instantly, which makes the Viscount get his face wounded as he thinks that the Count will be understanding to the situation when he gets to know about it. When the Viscount commands his men to take Ben to the slums, as they need to wait, Ben continues to yell at the bastards, cursing their names as Ben spends the whole night praying for Cersinia so nothing happens to her. Meanwhile, Cersinia is having a hard time sleeping, as she thinks that she must have been going crazy for real, and while she continues to move inside the house, she continues to remember Ben and his activities, feeling as if she is hallucinating. Then after thinking for a while, Cersinia decides that she will be taking back Ben no matter what, even if she had her throat cut to death after that or stabbed by arrows. She will do anything in her power to get him back, this time realizing that there is no way he will continue living as a slave of the Count. She then holds the briefcase full of money, thinking that she will be returning the money to the Viscount, and then when she is about to move outside, the Viscount and his men come in front of her doorstep asking about her current situation. As the men begins to mock Cersinia, she starts asking what the matter is while they continue to state that they should be communicating inside the room for betterment. Then the Viscount demands for her to take care of them since there is no way she will be meeting Ben without him, and Cersinia claims that she will be giving the money back to them if they end up returning Ben to her. The Viscount starts to ask her why she would care so much about the slaves so much, while noting that the lowly people must get their eyes on each other as if it is some sort of fetish. Then after hearing the cursed words out of the Viscount's mouth, Cersinia starts to fume in anger and engulfing fire, which makes the Viscount realize that he is now looking at the weird power that Louis mentioned to him. Realizing that there is no way to get outside alive instead of killing Cersinia, he orders his men to rush towards Cersinia, hoping to finish her off. But one of the men ends up poking her hair with the sword while missing the attack, and Cersinia chokes the man to death while the others continue to watch over the scene. Then realizing that the situation is harsh, the Viscount starts to yell, saying that there is no way she will be finishing him off, as he is the one person who knows the location of Ben. While the Viscount continues to warn her, her evil half continues to manipulate her, saying that she should be grabbing the man's neck to finish him off, as well so she can burn him without having a single hair left on his head. Her whole mind starts to feel like a battlefield while she deals with her heavy conscience, knowing that she cannot be following the rules of Cersinia. But when the Viscount mentions Ben once again by calling him a slave, she ends up burning the whole house in flames, while the Viscount gets shocked to see her sudden reaction, while the whole house ends up getting blasted away in an instant. When the whole house starts to engulf in fire, Louis realizes that they are in a grave danger, while Cersinia ends up revealing her true power in front of the Viscount and his man. The Viscount thinks that the whole thing is something impossible and continues to yell for help while his whole face starts to burn like hellfire, which makes him beg to her, saying that he doesn't want to die. He begs, saying that he was wrong, and the more he continues to yell for help so she can spare his life, Cersinia keeps on laughing at his face, and suddenly, when the whole thing is done already, she realizes that everything is turned into ruins already, so she cannot change it anymore. Cersinia starts to shake, consoling herself so she doesn't get affected by her instincts, because she doesn't want to face such a tragic death like Cersinia. As she looks around everywhere inside her room, she realizes that the men of Viscount and the Viscount himself are all dead, while she still doesn't know the location of Ben. Then when she notices that one of the men is still alive, she thanks God, and even though the whole thing is her fault, she thinks that if she lets him die there will be no difference than stepping in the footsteps of Cersinia. When she gets outside with the men holding on to their collars, Louis notices that his leader and some of his men are still alive, and Cersinia states that the man has burns all over his body, but he is still breathing, while making a statement saying that his master took it upon himself. She then starts to go away from the location, saying that if they have a conscience, they must not be following her, and Louis continues to tell her to wait for some reason, which ends up annoying her once again. Then Louis states that Ben is at the Cedri River Pier, and if she ends up going there, she will be meeting him. Louis hands her the briefcase and some papers because she will be needing them for sure. It seems that the paperwork is Ben's slave document, while the briefcase is still carrying the money which was given to her by the casino. When Cersinia asks what Louis wants, he claims that he doesn't mean anything else, as the money was originally hers in the first place. He insists that he will be taking care of the Viscount so she can continue to go on her way, while stating that God must bless them. Then while Cersinia continues to move on her the pier's way, she thinks that she has to apologize to Ben for her stupidity, as she wants to be on his side and she really wants to be with him till the end. While Cersinia is running quickly to reach Ben, the slavers are carrying him only to beat him even more as he is tied up with ropes. Ben starts to remember how Cersinia used to treat him, as she is the one who helped him to realize what warmth and goodwill are, and as he misses her so much, he thinks that he wants to run immediately to check up on her. When he continues to lie down on the ground, the slaver keeps on shouting at him while cursing at his name. While the slavers go on a smoke break, Ben starts to feel the warmth of Cersinia for some reason, while hoping that the rain will wash away everything except for Cercinia's hut. As he continues to wonder about Cersinia, she calls his name in the heavy rain, which holds Ben quite astonished, as he was just thinking about her a while ago. Then Cersinia continues to call for Ben, and Cersinia states to Ben that she will be letting him go soon enough of the ropes that are tying him up right now. It seems that Cersinia is about to use her power against the ropes, so she suggests him to be careful of the heat, while Ben continues to wonder why she would be in front of him right now. When Cersinia continues to think that she is seeing some sort of illusion in front of her right now, Ben touches her face to make her realize that she isn't seeing an illusion, as he is really touching her face with his hand. Then Ben starts to ask her about the Viscount, who was already mad at her and looking for her, asking her if she is somehow hurt or sick because of him. Cersinia then notices that he has been beaten up quite badly, as his body is full of scars and wounds, but he doesn't seem to have any kind of resentment about the fact that she ended up throwing her away. When Cersinia asks about his condition, Ben states that he is fine, which makes Cersinia apologize to him, claiming that she shouldn't have let him go in the first place. Ben is quite happy to see her anyways, as he thinks that she shouldn't be apologizing to him, as he is some sort of person who cannot be with anyone in his life. Cersinia claims that she was quite afraid of her power, as she wondered what might be happening to him if he gets in touch with her power, while remarking that she had been thinking of him ever since she let him go. She makes it clear that the reason why she came back is because she couldn't forget his voice, face, and his warmth, letting him know that she wants to be with him, while thinking that he must not like it as she chased him away. Then Ben requests her to look at him, and when they meet each other's eyes once again, Ben remarks that he had been thinking of her, and if he could choose his dream, he would just want to stay right next to her his whole life, claiming that his life means nothing without her. Then Cersinia soon burned Ben's slave documentation, as they decided to go out to find a place where they could stay, since they wanted to start anew in a place where no one knows them. They continue to wander aimlessly in a carriage while discussing trivial and mundane topics, such as preferring warmer places over cold ones or enjoying a small and cozy atmosphere. Then on the third day of their leaving, they end up finding a village they like and settle down, which is a village called Milan, as it was created by free people without a lord. Then they take the help of the village chief to find a small available house, which was a little far from the village and was rather nice to be quiet. Then they continue to visit the market of the village, needing to buy new things and clothes. While wandering around the market, Cersinia realizes that the village is a town famous for woodwork, as the carpenters of the village are working hardly, as she continues to look at the buffed men vigorously. Then Cersinia insists that she was just praising the amazing woodwork, but Ben realizes that Cersinia likes men with muscular bodies, which makes her remark that she is only choosing him these days. She decides to keep the whole thing secret from Ben, and they end up finding some kind of necklace for Cersinia. While they continue to look around the whole place, the agent of the higher-up is still looking for Ben and Cersinia, knowing that they used to live in the ruined and burned-down house for a while. The agent realizes that they are late at detecting the place, since his master is growing insane every day, making him realize that he doesn't have much of time left in his hand. Suddenly, he ends up finding an expensive necklace, which makes him feel like Ben must have someone to take care of, as if he didn't pack his valuables, he would have left in such a hurry for sure. The agent realizes that they need to hurry up before the distance continue to get any further, since his master is desperately looking forward to the end results. The man doesn't know who must be around Ben, but he promises that if that person gets in his way, he will have to make sacrifices very soon. The next morning, Cersinia can be seen sipping on her cup of tea, feeling quite peaceful in the new village, wishing that she could live her whole life like that, as she doesn't have much to think of. At that moment, Ben calls for her to doll up, and Cersinia starts asking her about the place where he is going, as it seems that Ben has applied for some kind of job, even though Cersinia is bringing enough money to the house. Then Ben elaborates that he is about to be a carpenter proudly, and Cersinia congratulates him, which makes him state that she shouldn't be smiling too beautifully, since it will be hard to control himself after that. But when he starts to get perverted thoughts in his mind, he realizes that he shouldn't be ruining such a peaceful moment because of thinking with his ding-dong, so he stops thinking about it. He suggests that he will be taking care of the laundry so she can have the time to take rest, and Cersinia claims that his job must already be hectic enough. When he gets on with doing the laundry, Cersinia rushes toward him to tell him that he should stop since she forgot to take out her underwear, but when she reaches him, he is already seen working with it. After bickering for a while, Ben realizes that he is currently holding her underwear, so he ends up getting shocked and runs away, apologizing to her as he ended up making a mistake. Then later, Cersinia takes care of his wounds made by all of the slavers, and while treating his wounds, Cersinia couldn't wonder why a big boy like him was reacting that way after seeing underwear in front of him, as if she was the one who recreated the scene. She would end up dying in embarrassment as well. Then when treating the wounds, Cersinia notices an old scar and Ben thinks that the wound must be from his childhood. Soon after, Ben ends up asking her if he could be sleeping with her for the night, and even though the first day ended up weirdly, soon both of them adjusted with each other ever since. But even when Cersinia wanted to refuse sleeping with him, she couldn't do it because the whole thing would look so pitiful for her, and suddenly, Ben ends up asking if they can start holding hands already, which astonishes her even more. Ben explains that her hands are very warm, which starts to make her wonder if he is thinking about something even deeper by talking about holding hands for the first time. Then when Cersinia is unable to say no to him, Ben is happily taking her hand while she starts to wonder why she can never reject to any of his proposals. She doesn't know if it is because of her power or not, but her body and Ben, as they share their body temperature, it has become the most ideal temperature for her. She can even feel his pulse while holding his hand, and she starts to wonder what if something truly ends up happening between them. But then in the end, nothing happens as Ben falls asleep, and Cersinia realizes that there is no need to feel bad considering it lucky, but she somehow feels upset for some reason. In the middle of the night, Ben starts to caress her face, calling by her name while holding her hands, and it seems that the whole thing is just a scene, wondered by Ben inside his head, apologizing to her in the end. Meanwhile, the agent of the higher-up reaches out to his master to elaborate that Ben and Cersinia are both living in a village named Milan, which is the southernmost village that will take 2 days to reach if they use a horse. Then the master states that he will be going to Milan himself, and the agent agrees with his master as he thinks that he must create the perfect achievement since the person must be sent in front of the Grand Duke. In the morning, Ben is excited to have breakfast with Cersinia as he has prepared something for her a few days ago, and it seems that his cooking skills are improving every day. While eating the food he made for him, Cersinia notices that Ben is somehow different than the others, and she notices that his skin is looking like it has been burnt for some reason, and Ben is surprised to hear that. He states that it must be because he had been working quite hard, and Cersinia is surprised to see him excited to learn that his skin is a little burnt. But she doesn't care about it much since she likes to see him smile, and soon Ben starts to leave the house since he has to work to make a living, and Cersinia bids farewell to him from the doorway. When he leaves, Cersinia claims that seeing him like that every day makes her feel like they are a married couple, while she continues to shake like crazy as if she is about to faint from imagining something like that. Then soon as payday comes, and as Cersinia thinks that buying a gift must be too much for the occasion, she thinks that she has to cook him some soup since he continues to cook for her every day. As Cersinia gets on with cooking for Ben, Ben is working with wood to make some kind of rabbit, and one of his co-workers comes up to him to ask what he is about to do with the first payment. Then when he claims that he wants to receive a gift, he mentions that he wants to receive a gift, which makes the co-worker remark that it must be from his girlfriend who he is living with currently. He thinks to himself that even though she is like a protector to him, he should be the one protecting her in the first place, as his relationship with Cersinia cannot be explained that easily. When his coworkers start to tease him, he doesn't know what to answer as he always feels hot after seeing her since he wants to kiss her lips as well. Whenever he starts to think about her, his desire surges in a great amount as if a needle is exploding a water balloon, and his coworkers continue to make fun of his observations, which forces Ben to go back to work since he couldn't answer anything to them. Then when he is heading toward the house with his paycheck in his hand, he continues to think how Cersinia will be letting him inside the house, hoping that she will like the gift that he bought for her. Suddenly a mysterious figure appears behind him and everything vanishes from then and there for him. At the same time, Cersinia is tasting food that she made for Ben, and as she notices that the sun is about to set, Ben must be getting back home as soon as possible. But as she continues to wait, she starts to sense the worst as he didn't come back for a long time. Then when he doesn't come back for the whole day, she heads in his workplace to question his coworkers for his details, and they all claim that he had left the place after finishing his work. None of the people remember much about him as nobody really has any details of him, which gets Cersinia in a bad position as she could never hope that Ben would be vanishing away like that. Then the next morning, some girl comes up to her asking why she hasn't slept on the bed as she is lying down in front of the front door. It seems that she had been doing something similar almost every day, and the girl notices that she must be hungry. But it seems that Cersinia doesn't have any interest to eat anything. It seems that she had been dreaming about Ben aimlessly while getting massive headaches because of the dreams, and the little girl truly realizes that she is having headaches. She suggests that she should not worry about her, and even when she is about to give her some money, the little girl insists that she will not be leaving her at any cost since there is no one else to take care of her. As Cersinia thinks that she doesn't need anyone besides her, she notices how fast May ended up growing from the first time meeting her. It seems that one day when Cersinia was heading into the market, she notices that everyone is hurting a sick and weak woman in the middle of the road while she continued to say that she didn't steal anything. At that moment, Cersinia reached out to help the woman by kicking away the man with her power, and started to help May from then and there since she somehow reminded her of Ben as she also found him in a similar state. As time continues to pass, Cersinia tries to think that she doesn't have any reason to grieve since he must be living somewhere well, so she ended up leaving the Milan village without having any kind of regrets. As he has been gone for 3 years straight, the first page of the novel is about to begin, and when she was in a bad situation, May pulled her out of it by taking care of her. May couldn't help but wonder why Cersinia must be in a situation like that, as if she is withering away while looking outside the windows. May promised to be always beside Cersinia no matter what, and because of her, Cersinia feels like she is living once again. While she is walking toward her house after buying meat and clothes for May, someone grabs her hand from behind as if the man is quite familiar with her. Then when the man forces her to talk with him, she knocks his hand out of her way to move on. And it seems that the man harassing her is named Chris, who is the chief's son, as there was a time when a gunman came into her house. One night when May was scared shitless after meeting the man, Cersinia knew that the man must have been Charles, and after all the man is quite obsessed with her for sure. She finds the man annoying as she hoped that she could crush his offended face for sure, and while he keeps on living, Cersinia thinks that it was all due to May's grace, as otherwise he would have been dead the same night instead of breaking the table. It seems that Charles has a great influence on the whole village because of being the son of the chief, and he acts as if he is some sort of prince, behaving arrogantly while doing anything that pleases him. When Cersinia makes him realize that she knows about his wrongdoings, Charles astonishingly asks for proof from her, and she is down that she doesn't really have no proof against him. But as she continues to move away after disregarding Charles, he keeps on wondering why everyone can be taken down to the ground but not her, while everyone takes him as their lord. Then angry Charles calls out for Cersinia from behind her, which makes her grab onto his neck as if she is about to choke him to death, which gets noticed by everyone around the whole village. Charles doesn't know about the uncanny strength of hers, and she calms herself down and releases Charles, stating that it would act as a warning for him, while calling him mediocre. Charles starts to feel ashamed of the whole incident, and while he was about to walk away, the Viscount is seen calling her a witch with a burned face of his and discloses all the information to Charles. As he starts to listen to the man, May is happy to see the gift that Cersinia bought for her, and she continues to dance around the house with her gift. But while May is happy and jolly, Cersinia thinks that she just wants to start the story anyways, since she doesn't want to be hurt anymore, because enduring a life full of pain once is already enough for her. Thanks for watching the first part of I Raised Him Modestly, but he came back obsessed with me. This will be all for today, and if you want to support the channel, just click on the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Let us know in the comments if you want to see the next part of the manhwa. See you again next time.
And that wraps up another thrilling recap, but the adventure doesn't end here. Subscribe to our channel if you want more twists, turns, and heart-pounding stories. Stay tuned for our next recap.